melasma, aging skin, menopause symptoms, hair loss.
These conditions can make you feel like you're not yourself. Muesli can help. Traditional healthcare often dismisses these conditions, but Muesli connects you with board-certified doctors who prescribe customized treatments so you can overcome them. Order in just 3 minutes, 100% online, and have it delivered to your door. Feel like yourself again. Visit Muesli.com/podcast and use code podcast25 for 25% off your first order. Muesli. Look good, live better.
All right, welcome to the Sports Hub Celtics show. It's Jim Murray, Chris Gasper, and Brian Robb covering your Boston Celtics for MassLive. You want to talk C's over the next hour. The number to call is 617-779-0985. You heard Sean Grandy there with the final call. The Celtics defeat the Atlanta Hawks 109-102 at TD Garden last night. The Hawks, maybe a little frisky. Had won 14 of their last 15 games. They actually came in with I think it was an OT win over Detroit. Detroit Pistons, top seed. Big win for the Hawks. Got to take the Hawks seriously. They even get up to a 25-9 start last night. And it's like, okay, maybe they're legit. Maybe it's just my grizzled nature. Seen too much. Been there, done that.
Yeah, had your heart broken too many times. I get it, man.
I don't take the Hawks seriously. I don't care about this streak that they've been on. I don't take the East seriously, Chris. I just don't, and B-Rub. Last night, and the Celtics ended up playing so much better in the second half. And, yeah, it was a little bit gritty in that first half, and it was a more competitive game than maybe I would have thought. But the Hawks, your Hornets, even the Pistons, your Cleveland, whoever. Knicks, I don't take any of these teams in the East seriously as compared to the Celtics, their depth, now that they have Tatum back. If they don't go to the finals, to me, because it all shifted, I know what the expectations were. They were minimal at best at the beginning of the season, which I thought was crazy. I said they should be at best maybe a 3-4 seed. This team's better than you people are giving them credit for. I know they might be able to play in. They'll be lucky to make the playoffs. No. And now that they've exceeded expectations, this team should get out of the East. And a lot of that has to do with the fodder that is the Atlanta Hawks and these other teams that I've rattled off. I don't take the East seriously. I just don't.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people feel like the Celtics at their best should be the favorites in the East, and that's why last night was important and interesting, because in order for the Celtics to be at their best, you need Jayson Tatum at his best, and this was an opportunity without Jaylen Brown. I thought this made a lot of sense to rest him. Jaylen Brown had reached 65 games on Wednesday against Oklahoma City, so now he's eligible for everything, all the awards, all NBA. You have a tough stretch coming up, a tough back-to-back coming up against the Hornets and the Hawks. So it made some sense to rest him and also give a little bit of a wider berth to Jayson Tatum to be able to go back to what he's accustomed to. And you saw some of that, I thought, in the fourth quarter last night. I would say the first three quarters were not great for Tatum, and the overall stat line, 8 for 24 on the night. He did have 26 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, but he wasn't terribly efficient until you got into that fourth quarter. He was 5 of 16, 13 points after 3. But I thought it changed actually at the end of that third quarter when he hit that mid-range against Jonathan Kuminga, and that sort of got him going a little bit. But all the talk going into that game, like if you listen to the broadcast, Scal's like, I'm excited, I want to see what Tatum does. That was a night, I think, to sort of gauge where Jayson Tatum is at, and I would say still a work in progress.
Yeah, he didn't shoot well last night overall, but I thought what was encouraging to watch with him last night, specifically in that fourth quarter, is that Tatum took the ball to the hoop and was trying to draw fouls and did just that. That's encouraging. That's how he should be playing with his body style. And I understand, look, he's probably got some nervousness about that considering the injury, the horrific injury he's coming back from, but that's how he should be playing.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. He did a good job getting to the free throw line. He got bailed out a little bit by C.J. McCollum in the fourth quarter on that 3 where McCollum did land in Tatum's landing zone on an end of shot clock 3, which was a horrible possession. It still looks a little janky to me when he's out there at times, with him. And that's part of it. That's part of him working through getting back. And I have another thought on Tatum that I'm actually going to save for the next block.
Okay.
That has to do with Tatum, but really more has to do with his integration into the team. What I thought was interesting with this was what sort of got him going to me after the 2 for 11 first half was playing off the ball. The 2 cuts that he made where Nimi Keita found him, that kind of got him going. But some of the on-the-ball stuff and the sort of take over Tatum, I feel like he's still not there on that stuff, and he's admitting that. And he admitted that last night talking about rust.
More so just kind of just playing through it. Feel rusty, obviously, you probably can see in moments when it doesn't look the same or look rusty. But I think just the mindset of, on to the next play. I'm thankful that I got, teammates and the coaching staff that patient with me in this moment, as I'm trying to just figure it out.
So, I mean, he's telling you, and he's kind of told you this a couple of times this week. I have to give myself more grace. And he's, we're 10 games into this now for him, and there's still a rust factor there. And that was apparent. So it's great that the Celtics could still win that game with the rust factor of Tatum. But, my takeaway from last night is that still more work to be done. Because normally you'd think Jaylen Brown out of the lineup, Tatum's going to go wild. Everything's going to run through him. And he did take the 24 shots. But, I mean, they don't win that game without the efficiency of Payton Pritchard, who hit his first 6 threes in that game and scored 36 points. And there was one point, I think it was late in the third or early in the fourth, where, again, just sort of everybody going into their roles, they kind of were running a play. Shot clock starts to run down. The play's breaking down a little bit. And Pritchard and Tatum both basically came to get the ball at the same time and were in each other's airspace, and the spacing was off, and that's still trying to figure out how this is going to go with this version of the Celtics. Obviously, prior versions of the Celtics, Pritchard's just standing in the corner and letting Tatum take that ball and do his thing, but they're not at that point yet with him.
And to your point on the isolation stuff, Chris, like his numbers there are way down, like for points per possession there. And I just think the offense is better when he is mixing up off the ball. In general, I think that's if you're looking at the long view for the playoffs, like how is this team going to get by? Even when Tatum's at his best, I don't think that's when the Celtics offense is at its best. So getting him into more off-ball stuff, getting him used to that in the next few weeks with the way Jaylen's playing, with the way the role guys are playing on this team, I think that's the easier path through the Eastern Conference and into a legitimate finals contender.
I agree. And again, I'll repeat what I said. I thought, again, the 2 for 11 first half was tough. And early in that third quarter, they run these plays. Tatum's off the ball. He makes one baseline cut, gets a 3-point play on a nice pass by Nemish Queta, and then he runs kind of a curl cut to the foul line and gets himself a good look there. And that's another basket for him. The finishing at the rim is still hit or miss. He had some nice finishes, I thought, in the second half, but you could also see some ones where he was frustrated, where he's like, I can't believe I didn't finish that. And that's the one thing that's really, or the thing that stood out to me the most, is just the inconsistency of his ability to finish at the rim, which I think leads to why he's taking all these threes. 8 more threes last night, 2 for 8 from 3. He's taking basically 54% of his shot attempts are from 3.
It is. It's jarring at that point, and I know this is the time to do that, to try to get into your rhythm at these type of games. But regardless, hopefully, when push comes to shove, if he hasn't turned a corner with this jump shot in the playoffs going, that number should not be staying that high when we get to the first, second.
And that's what I like, just quickly, that's what I liked about the fourth quarter, though. And that's what I liked about the end of the third, from when he started to go back to the mid-range stuff. He wasn't just like, okay, I'm going to settle for this 3, or I'm going to try and get all the way to the rim, which I do like him attacking the rim, because to your point, Jimmy gets to the free throw line. But he seemed to get more comfortable sort of getting in his flow with the mid-range stuff, and I thought that kind of unlocked him. That possession at the end of the third where Kuminga bumped him, but he still was able to sort of fight through that, get to his spot, knock down that jumper, doing some of that stuff until the entirety of his game comes back. I think that's the way he has to play. A little more mid-range, which I know, Celtics don't love the mid-range, but that's why Jaylen Brown's an MVP candidate, because he's become a mid-range master. A little bit more of that from Tatum and a little bit more off-the-ball cutting until he gets back to the Tatum we know. I think that, to B-Rob's point, that helps Tatum, and that helps his team.
All right, Chris has more on Tatum. I want to ask B-Rob what he might know about Jaylen Brown's Achilles tendonitis, because that popped up out of nowhere, it felt like. And
That's
then
terrifying.
Not playing last night against the Hawks. And your calls, 2 open lines. You want to talk Celtics, now's the time to do it. 617-779-0985.
The Sports Hub Celtics show continues.
Aging.
It can make you feel like you're not yourself.
Melasma.
It can make you feel self-conscious.
Hair loss, rosacea, menopause symptoms.
They can rob you of your confidence. But there is help. Muesli. Muesli connects patients with board-certified doctors who prescribe customized treatments that deliver life-changing results. Traditional healthcare often deprioritizes conditions that impact how you look, dismissing them as cosmetic or just aging. But Muesli understands how negatively they can impact your life. That's why they developed unique, affordable prescription treatments for beauty and wellness, dark spots, rosacea, HRT, longevity, and more. Conditions like melasma can make you feel unrecognizable. Join over 1 million patients who trust Muesli with personalized prescription care. Order in just 3 minutes, 100% online, and have it delivered to your door. Feel like yourself again. Visit Muesli.com/podcast and use code podcast25 for 25% off your first order. That's Muesli.com/podcast. Muesli. Look good, live better.
When was the last time you felt in control of your business finances? Expenses tracked, invoices sent, taxes ready. That's where Found comes in. Found brings your banking, bookkeeping, invoicing, and taxes together in one simple app. Manage expenses, invoice clients, send payments, and prep for tax time right where you bank. Join the hundreds of thousands who have already streamlined their finances with Found. Open a Found account for free at found.com. That's FOUND.com. Found is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services provided by Lead Bank, member FDIC.
After these.
109-102 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Still talking about conditioning. I know you got a thought on that, Chris, but there's something else you wanted to touch on with Tatum first.
Yeah, that I teased. We talk so much about Tatum trying to get back to his full form and where does he fit into this team. But there's another factor here that I don't think has been talked about enough. There are guys who are part of this rotation and important contributors for this team that really haven't played with Jayson Tatum. And I don't mean just this year coming off the injury.
Ever.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you mean ever. Go ahead.
Yeah, like ever. So a guy like Baylor Shireman, he barely played last year. He has a clear chemistry that he's picked up this year with Jaylen Brown. He doesn't have that chemistry with Jayson Tatum because he's never had that opportunity. Luka Garza wasn't on the team last year, so that's another guy. Hugo Gonzalez wasn't on the team. That's another guy that hasn't played. So Tatum, not only is he coming back in a different role to a team that has a different identity, but he's coming back to a different team. Guys that he hasn't established a real on-floor rapport with, and he has to adjust to that in real time as well. And then there are other guys that he has played with that are in different roles now. Like Payton Pritchard, again, has a real chemistry. You can tell Jaylen Brown sets him up for a lot of those deep threes. And yes, Pritchard was Sixth Man of the Year last year playing on a team with Tatum, but his role is different this year. Even though he's back to coming off the bench with Tatum being back, he's a lot more assertive this year, and he looks for his own offense more, and you can see that at times. So this is part of it for Tatum, too, that's out of his control, is a lot of these guys he either hasn't played with them, or these guys haven't played with this version of him, or he hasn't played with this version of these guys. And that's just something else you have to solve into the equation, or so you have to put into the equation, when you're trying to solve this and get him going on the fly. And it just kind of struck me this week. It actually struck me, Jim, during the OKC game when I was watching that game and looking at it, because it's so clear to me the guys that he does have chemistry with, Jaylen Brown, obviously they're trying to figure out their roles, but they played together for 9 years. Derek White, automatic chemistry. Nimi Keita, from the pick and rolls have been a thing of beauty from the moment he came back. But a lot of these other guys, he doesn't have the chemistry with them because he hasn't played with them. They haven't played with him, or it's somebody that's in a different role, and he's now in a different role on the team.
So then what's the fix there? Is it just simply time? It's just going to take time, or he takes a more deferral role? Like, what's B-Rob? You want to weigh in there? Or is it as simple as, hey, it's just going to have to work itself out between now and and the playoffs as well?
Yeah, we'll see how much he comes along in these next 8 or 9 games. But to be honest, I think there's going to be certain games, certain points where taking that deferral role might be the best way to go, because he's been super valuable in other parts of the game.
Yeah.
Like his passing's been good, his rebounding. He's such a rebounding better guys than he's ever had in his career, which is wild. And so the fact he's such a great all-around player, and they have enough offense elsewhere to not need 30 points a game from him, that makes him just a valuable tool for them to use if his shot isn't all the way back. So I think, we'll see where it's at in another month, but that might be the way to go.
You also had a thought on that little clip that we bounced back with him talking about conditioning. And
So that I don't love that. The second
excuse making.
Yeah, it's excuse making. I'm sorry. I understand. I'm trying to give him some grace. He should give himself a lot of grace. But the reality is, after the game in Cleveland, his second game back, he was saying, minutes restriction sucks. Now you're getting exactly what you want, which is playing 37 minutes last night, the most you've played. You played 35 against OKC. this is what you wanted and said you were ready for, and now that it looks a little shaky and janky, it's about conditioning and, I mean, you've been back for 10 games. Like, I'm sorry. No, that's an excuse, and I'm not buying that. I give him credit because I think overall he's been really honest and honestly kind of vulnerable about what he's going through, trying to get back to being Jayson Tatum. But with that clip we played when coming back for this segment of the Sports Hub Celtics show, and I was watching it last night. I mean, that's one where
your eyes roll.
My head tilts to the side, my eyes roll out of the back of my head. I'm like, come on, man. Like, no, it was just like you're not performing at the level you performed at in the past, excuse me. And I just, it bugs me a little bit just because, again, the second game back in Cleveland, he was like, oh, the minutes restriction sucks. That's the worst part. Well, now it's pretty much lifted, and you're not terribly efficient. Again, 8 for 24, and now it's about getting your win back and some of the other stuff. That's not it. That ain't it. Yeah, we did have more from Tatum that I wanted to play also, and this is where I do give him credit, just in terms of he's being really honest about. He was asked last night, is there any specific area you look at where you think, okay, this is where I'm behind, and this is where I'm excelling? And he was really honest sort of about where he's at.
All over the place. Sometimes I'll be dribbling the ball and I just like mishandle. Sometimes I still have the ball, but it's just like, damn. Like, it's frustrating. Obviously, some of the shots and layups at the rim, just kind of moving too fast a little bit. So, I mean, it's frustrating to me.
So he's honest there, and I give him credit for that. And we talked about the layups at the rim. So I know I just kind of got into him a little bit for making excuses in terms of the conditioning for the efficiency, but he's being dead honest about what's happening at the rim. He is missing more shots at the rim than he normally would, and I think that has to do with the Achilles and trying to recalibrate and all that. But that was a question where I thought, Jim, he had an opportunity to be like, I'm doing this, and this well, which he is. To B-Rob's point, the passing's been great. The rebounding's been great. I think his defense has been really good. He could have taken that easy off-ramp and talk about those things because the question included, where are you – are there areas where you feel like I'm excelling? And he didn't go into that. He just went in like, man, I'm all over the place. And sometimes I'm dribbling that – and we had to cut it out there. But he said, sometimes I'm dribbling the effing ball, and I'm just like, I mishandled it.
And B-Rob, wanted to ask you, this injury report yesterday, I thought it was a little bit surprising to see Jaylen Brown pop up on it, Achilles tendonitis. Is this a facade? He just needed a night off, or is this something more serious?
Well, we asked Joe Mazzulla about it last night. He gave us the whole story. And how.
No, I was going to say, as soon as you led with that, I was like, all right, so what did he answer with? Something about a set play from the France-Brazil friendly?
He's day-to-day. Jaylen is day-to-day.
A set piece, as they say?
Was a little beat up after the OKC game. I think this is just a planned day off here. Chris already brought up they have a tough back-to-back coming Sunday, Monday. There's going to be 4 games in 6 nights in 4 different cities. So this was the one. If it's easier to win at the Garden than it is on the road. So if you're going to sit out Jaylen for one of these, this is probably the one to do it. We'll find out, though, for real, though, Jim, because the injury report comes out today. If he's on that again and is out Sunday, then my eyes kind of perk up a little bit. But for now, I think this is just a scheduled day off.
Well, I mean, we all know. I mean, the Celtics have never underplayed a significant injury.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, it's just some hardware in the knee or, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving,
Shaquille
O'Neal, Robert Williams, and on and on.
Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett, and on and on.
I mean, last year with Tatum, I half expected them to list him as probable for the next game.
Yeah, I would. So I wouldn't be so like, ooh, that's, because of what it is and how it was listed. If it was a prior injury, or if they just said rest, fine. Like, people will accept that. Achilles, like anything you'd see.
I know, it's scary.
He's been playing a ton of minutes, too.
Yeah.
Jaylen these last couple of months. For good reason. He's been great. But this is an injury caused by overuse. So this is, thirdly, we saw how much his injury last year impacted him in the playoffs. He's been a different guy all year long. So number one clearly has to be get Jaylen Brown right for the playoffs. And if he has to miss a stretcher, and if this is like a legitimate injury that's going to cause him to miss serious time, then get that right now, obviously.
Yeah, I agree with B-Rob, and I'll just say I do think it's becoming clearer and clearer that as they go into the playoffs, and this could change during the playoffs. The playoffs are almost like separate seasons, each series. But as they go into the playoffs, he's going to have to be the one. Yeah. He's going to have to be the number one player going into. I don't anticipate that as you're looking here over the final stretch of the season for the Celtics over these final 9 games that all of a sudden the light's going to go on for Tatum and he can take the baton from Brown. I don't think that's the way it's going to be. So they absolutely have to make sure he's ready to be the guy he was really Wednesday night against Oklahoma City. And I thought that whole game shifted in the third quarter when he was out there with some of the role guys and they were able to seize that game from the Thunder. When Jaylen Brown, he's built such a good rapport and such good chemistry with a lot of these role guys, and the way he played, he was the best, player on the court, I thought, in that game, which is notable when you're out there with, the reigning MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
All right, Spence, Dean, and LaCar, hang through the break. Promise get to your calls coming up next here. Sports Hub Celtics Show, 2 open lines if you'd like to join us as well and talk C's. 617-779-0985.
You're listening to the 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Show.
Chevy trucks have you covered when the road takes you from smooth sailing to Chevy Colorado will eat up some of the toughest terrains with 5 available drive modes. And Silverado and Silverado HD have the muscle to take you out for some serious. With multiple engine options and impressive towing, while Silverado EV is the perfect combo of performance and capability.
Nice.
Making it a snap to hitch up this electric truck and hit the road. Wherever the road leads, Chevy trucks are right there with you. Visit your New England Chevy dealers.
Miller time. It only happens if you make it happen. So say hello with some beers. Make the plans. Live a little. Because legendary moments start with a light. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2026 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Baz here from Window Nation. Spring weather, unpredictable. In fact, you never know which way you'll be adjusting your thermostat unless you have the right windows. With Window Nation, you can count on your home being comfortable regardless of the weather. Their windows are customizable and energy efficient. Expert installations take just 1 day, and Window Nation products are backed by a lifetime warranty. There is no better time to upgrade than right now with Window Nation. In March, the more you buy, the more you could save. Up to 50% off all window styles with 0% interest for 60 months. Visit windownation.com.
At M&T Bank, we're continuously working to provide value to our customers, like Paul, Vice President of Sullivan Tire.
We are so happy with the relationship with M&T. Whether it's treasury services or working line of credit or providing loans for our growth, it's been nothing but collaboration that works for both parties.
See what M&T Bank can do for you at mtb.com/together. Member FDIC.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Busy Dog Basement Technologies is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
The Shaw's and Star Market Foundation have teamed up with 98.5 The Sports Hub for Feeding the Puck for Families. Every time Boston feeds the puck to help score a goal, the Shaw's and Star Market Foundation Nourishing Neighbors Initiative will donate funds to end hunger here in Eastern Mass. Since its inception, Nourishing Neighbors has raised more than $250 million across the country to ensure their neighbors have the nutrition needed to thrive. Locally, with each assist, the foundation will make a donation of $100 to the Greater Boston Food Bank, up to $50,000 to help our neighbors in need. Learn more at 985thesportshub.com/feedthepuck.
Hey guys, it's David Andrews. If you're headed to a game this season or just looking for the best Italian food in Boston, then you gotta go see my guy Massimo and Aria Trattoria in the North End, located on Hanover Street. Let Massimo and his team do their thing with family-style feasts, prime meats, local seafood, homemade pasta, the best meatballs in Boston, and extensive wine list. Aria Trattoria has it all. Old world Italian with modern flair. Valet parking out front with second floor dining overlooking Hanover Street and the North End. That's Aria Trattoria. Check them out and tell them David sent you.
Tune into the Bruins Radio Network today for the Electric Play delivered by Granite City Electric's GCE Night Train. Electrical contractors, get on board the GCE Night Train. Order your materials to be delivered overnight to the job site the following morning, guaranteed, and save time and money. Go to GCEnighttrain.com to order.
You want to talk Boston Celtics? This is where you do it. The Sports Hub Celtics Show on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Alexander Walker slowing down Pritchard. Dribbles behind a Tatum screen. We're down to 2 seconds. Pritchard driving past Daniels, floats it up in the air and beats the buzzer.
Wow. And so them dudes saying, I'm that dude. I'm that dude.
You know what you say to Payton Pritchard when Jaylen Brown's not playing? Let him cook.
Yes, it was the Pritching hour last night. That drive to the rim brought to you by Chevy. Get a closer look at Chevy's award-winning lineup at your New England Chevy dealers. Find exciting offers, too, on the powerful Silverado and feature-packed all-new Equinox.
So I don't know. B-Rob, let me ask this. Luca Garza, what is his ethnic background? Is he just Italian, or do you know?
I want to say
Spanish,
like
from Spain.
So I was going to say,
like
is he Spanish? Because I was going to say I'm a little disappointed based on the way Garza's played this year with Jaylen Brown that we haven't gotten a cookies and cream. The league is feeling lactose intolerant.
Bosnian. Yes.
He's Bosnian.
Yes.
All right, so that qualifies. So how come we haven't gotten a cookies and cream with I mean, I know JB's not as close with Garza as he was with KP, but Kristaps Porzingis, but I mean, we haven't gotten a cookies and cream.
I think that one got retired with Kristaps Porzingis.
That's a bummer.
Yes,
That's too bad.
Everyone loved that call. Dean in Shrewsbury on his guy Payton Pritchard in his big night last night. Hello, Dean.
Hi. So Payton Pritchard could be a number one on a pretty high playoff team. Without Jaylen Brown this season, this is before last night's game, he's averaged 25 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 49% shooting from the floor, and 48% shooting from three. And now the Celtics are 8-1 with Pritchard as the number one option. He's beating Giannis by 27, the Suns by 16, the Rockets by 21, the Raptors by 16, and blew out the Wizard by 45. So we're talking about a guy, if he has the right team around him, he really could be a number one option on a good team. I think he would need a lot of 3-and-D players and a vertical threat, but if he had those things, that team could excel.
Do you believe that, or is that just another case of Celtics fandom overrating a player that's just a bench guy, role player, and saying he's actually better than he really is?
I would lean towards the latter, although I have to say I want Dean to defend me if I ever have to go to court and be a lawyer, because he made an outstanding case.
It was a good case.
That was a great case he made for. I mean, it's hard to dispute those facts. The facts are outstanding that he put up there. I mean, it's like, what do your eyes tell you, though? Like, could he really be the number one on a championship team?
No.
So I think it's a case, once again, of Celtics fans overrating a high-end role player. I think that this happens from time to time. I think it happens a little.
He's better than I thought he ever would have been.
Oh, definitely. But do you remember, though, when we were getting – I'm still going to go back to this. I'm just going to go back to this because I can't let it go. But do you remember we were getting the calls, like, people being like, well, I'm not saying he's not Steve Nash. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, or John Stockton.
Or John Stockton. He's better than I thought he would be. But, again, he's not Steve Nash, who was the number one on contending teams, even though I know they didn't win anything. Or John Stockton, who went to the finals. He's not that guy.
I just think
he's a great player.
Like little guards like that, I don't think. I mean, they could be one-ish, but never truly like the focal point of.
I mean, you have to be special. You don't have to be like an Allen Iverson type of guy.
And even
Derrick
then.
Rose. And Rose is taller, obviously, than Pritchard. But it's Kevin Johnson. It's really tough at that size to be able to do. He's having a great year. He's taken yet another step forward this season. The Celtics would not be where they are without him, and he's exceeded what I thought he was capable of in his career. But number one option, I mean, again, this just goes back, it blows my mind. So the beginning of the year, there were like Celtics fans that were like, I don't think Jaylen Brown's a one. And now we're like, I think Payton Pritchard's a one.
And I was an Iverson guy. I mean, still am. I loved Allen Iverson, but even still, I mean, granted, they ended up going like against one of those all-time Lakers teams.
Yes.
But there's a ceiling when you have that type of player being the focal point of your team in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. It's hard off the top of my head. I mean, Isaiah Thomas obviously was that guy, and he was small. The real Isaiah Thomas, just for the young people out there.
Yeah, the 2015 Celtics.
No, the real Isaiah Thomas. So he was that guy. I'm trying to think throughout the history of the game. I mean, Kuzi had Russell. Tiny Archibald was really good in his
keep
day,
it to the last 30 years, 25.
Okay. Yeah, it's I mean, Kevin Johnson pops up for me. Yeah, it's hard. There's I'm sure there's someone that we're missing, but it's really challenging at that size to be that guy. You're right. I mean, look at Jalen Brunson now.
Yeah,
he's really, really good,
yeah.
but it's still I go back to the playoff series last year, and I think this is the same thing. Like, if you want to say, like, oh, Pritchard could be kind of like a poor man's Jalen Brunson, I might buy into that. But you know what Jalen Brunson is? A giant defensive liability.
He is, and that is that's where it shows up for Pritchard too in the playoffs. So, like, why wasn't he playing during the finals run? Because teams are going to pick on him defensively a lot. But also, I'll give Pritchard this: his ability to get off shots in traffic over, like, when he looks like he has nowhere to go with, like, at the 5 foot, 10 feet range. He is, like, super elite at that.
I would agree.
But
and the buzzer beater stuff is
right.
awesome.
The buzzer beater stuff, exactly. So I think the question this year, could he be a starter on a really good team? The answer to that is yes. Is he the number one? Could he be number one? No, because he hasn't faced the best defender on the other team every night, and so that's where you start.
But he could be in the. I do. This is an interesting discussion that Dean sent us down this path. I do have to say though, when Tatum was out, as well as and the Celtics were playing really well, he did show he could be part of that hierarchy of stars and be one of the 3 best players on a championship contender. Because when he was in the starting lineup, and he did prove that. I mean, you got to give that to him.
Spence on the Cape with a thought of the Celtics. Hello, Spence.
Hey, guys, great show. Always look forward to it on Saturdays. A couple things here that really concern me. When I look at this team, and let's just say Brown's at 85 to 90% going into the playoffs. Let's give Tatum 70% going in. Do you think that's enough to get through OKC or a San Antonio or a Denver club? And I look at the record in the regular season, and it's obvious no. And what can they, what are they really going to do? Even if they're at full strength, it's going to be tough, right? So that's one of my concerns. The timeouts that Joe's not taking when he should be taking them, when you have a winded Tatum up and down the court, that's another concern. And I just don't see them. I see them as the 6th best team in the NBA. They've done a great job. I love Tatum. I love what he's done. That was miraculous to come back from that catastrophic injury. And I don't know another player that's done it this fast. And that concerns me too. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Felger and Maz will tell you all the players who have done it that faster, including Wes Matthews. So, they'll give you that right away. It is interesting. We haven't talked a lot about this game because I thought this was really the game of the week.
The OKC
game. OKC game, right? And the fact that you were going into that game a combined 0-7 against the Nuggets, Timberwolves, Spurs, and Thunder. I thought that was a statement game for the Celtics when you look at how well OKC was playing. They had, a 12-game win streak coming into that game, and I thought they really gave you their best shot, and you were able to respond. I liked what I saw from the Celtics in that overall. Here's what I would say on it, though. To the same way we talk about Jayson Tatum working his way back in, I've heard a little bit of, the Celtics beat the Thunder with their full repertoire of players. Okay, is Jalen Williams for them, who's the 2nd best player on their team, is he not working his way back too?
Yes.
And he was terrible in that game.
Yeah. He was awful in that game. And so if you meet in the finals, I think Jayson Tatum will be better, but wouldn't you assume that Jalen Williams would be better too?
Yeah, and I'm with the caller, and if they get to the finals, and I think that they should, I would probably take Denver or OKC. San Antonio, I don't know. But
San Antonio, I feel like, would be like when the Celtics played Golden State.
Yeah, too young.
Celtics had more talent, but you can, Jedi mind trick them into winning it.
Yeah.
I think the Celtics could beat the Spurs in the finals.
Me too. With experience, guile, that type of thing. You'll win on that. Those other 2 teams, but I expect them to get out of the East. The finals, that'll be a conversation for a different time. Those teams might be better. And OKC's the reigning champion. But no, that's a conversation for them. I understand the concerns about those teams in the West, but the East, please.
So wait, are you declaring it? Is this a Joe Murray declaration that if the Celtics do not get out of the East, this is a failure?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Yeah, and I know there's been this Hornets team they're playing tomorrow. Frisky. There's a chance they might see them in the first round. Please. No, I don't take the East seriously. And if they end up, if I end up being wrong, shame on me. And some of these guys are experienced. Like you're talking about, guys, Garza, Gonzalez, others. I think these guys are legit decent bench players for them. They're coached well. I would vote for Joe as the coach of the year. Even though I have questions about him, they should get out of the East.
Okay, but let me just bring up this point, and I'm curious how you react to it. Last year, before Tatum tore his Achilles, they were going to lose that series to the Knicks regardless.
I know.
So if they lose to the Knicks this year,
massive failure. Massive failure. Yeah.
Okay.
They shouldn't have. They played stupid in that series last year. How 3
I agree with that.
Was.
Yeah.
And if they didn't learn their lesson, that Knicks team has been on borderline mutiny all season. It feels like half of them want to choke Karl Anthony Towns, that puss. So if they lose to them in the turmoil that team's gone through this year, massive failure.
What about Cleveland? I mean, Harden, I know he kind of disappears in the playoffs. That's his MO, but
they don't defend either, though, Chris.
Well, but they do have rim protectors. I mean, they should be better defensively. They went out and got Keon Ellis, right?
Right.
That they should be better defensively there with that. They have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. They should be a better defensive team. And And Donovan Mitchell puts up absurd numbers against the Celtics.
Yeah, Mitchell is like the scare outside of Brunson. I feel like those are the two guys that scare you if you're the Celtics defensively in terms of slowing them down. Evan Mobley needs to go to another level he hasn't been able to get to yet.
He played really well, though, last time they played. Look, I would just say it's hard for me without seeing the series to say it's a failure for the Celtics, given their current constitution and the current level of play from Tatum, if they lose to the Knicks or Cavs in 7 games.
Lakar in Boston, you're next here on the Sports Hub Celtics Show. Hello, Lakar.
Hey, what's happening? But you know what, though? Casper, your partner made a good point a few minutes ago. If you're only resting, that's one thing. But now you're talking about Achilles injury. With Jaylen Brown, if they know about it, can they take care of it so the same thing that won't happen to like what happened to Tatum and the other guy from the Indiana Pacers?
Yeah, Tyrese
Because when
Haliburton.
their Achilles went out, it like unexpected.
Well,
but this one, since they know about it, can you do something to avoid that?
Yeah, I mean, Halliburton, they knew. I mean, he had the calf thing, and it was kind of like Durant years ago. It was a 2019 finals against Toronto. You're looking, it's kind of a ticking time bomb. Hopefully it's not one of those situations. I want to hear Jaylen Brown talk about this. My gut feeling when I saw it, B-Rob, you're around the team a lot more than I am. My gut feeling when I saw it was they're resting him. This is a tough stretch. He just hit the 65 games to be eligible for everything. They know they're going to need him down the stretch. I would have to go back and watch. Were there any plays that stood out to you on Wednesday that you think he would have tweaked the calf?
No. And he was so upbeat after that game on Wednesday night.
Oh, good point.
Like at his press conference they were talking to us. There was no hint of it. And I feel like if something notable happened, maybe he woke up the next morning was sore and was like, all right, we're going to give you a day anyway. This is we're going to do it. But there was nothing I saw rewatching that game and in that press conference that would ring a bell.
And pardon my ignorance on this. So if, say this is what's really happening and it wasn't just a rest night, do they give a player like this an MRI, look at it, and then do they see a fault line, for lack of a better term? And then if he got shut down, is that how that would play out? You get an MRI, you see a fault line, they go, oh boy.
I think that's what happened with Giannis, right?
Right, yeah. They'll definitely, if it's anything they were worried about, they would 100% give them an MRI imaging right away. And to my knowledge, that has not happened in this situation.
I mean, if this were to happen, I think if it went that way, the MRI, and you see something and you're concerned about it, based on what I've seen with some of these other injuries, they'll shut a guy down for a couple of weeks. He would be done for the regular season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that makes me think if this was serious, that would already have happened in that situation.
You would think.
We wouldn't find out about that.
But then again, with this organization and injuries, who's to say? I mean,
nothing to see here. What are you talking about?
Who's really to say? And but the other thing I would say about it is, you mentioned how upbeat he was, B-Rob, and he definitely was. He also was like live streaming, after the game too, for quite a while.
All right, one more segment to go. You want to get in and talk on the Celtics? Do it at 617-779-0985. It is the Sports Hub Celtics Show.
This is the Sports Hub Celtics Show.
Look, if we spill over into 1 o'clock, you didn't get a chance to weigh in at 617-779-0985. We'll continue to take your calls on them. So how many games left? Is it 9 after last night? 9 games.
9 games.
B-Rub. And so seeding still in play here. You get that 2 seed. You play the winner of that 7-8 play-in matchup, which as of right now, I said Charlotte, who they're playing tomorrow, maybe, but is it Philly and Orlando as of right now, B-Rub?
I believe that's right. But
yeah,
all
Philly's
those teams,
to 7.
like 5 and 10, I think there's like 2.5 games separating.
Oh, it's a lot of trash.
So it's a complete free-for-all in terms of who will end up in that spot.
Do either of you have a preferred matchup? Because Orlando, again, remember, I felt like that series last year, and Orlando I don't think is as frisky as they were last year, but Orlando last year, I still am of the belief that one of the reasons that they, not a major reason, but one of, minor, that they ended up losing that series to the Knicks the following series is that Magic team kind of took a chunk out of them in that first series because they played them real tough, Chris.
Yeah, they absolutely did, and they were physical.
Yeah.
They were really physical. They were physical with the Jays. I do think that was part of that series when you looked at it, that sort of hurt the Celtics, and I thought the Celtics were maybe a little stubborn in that series too about trying to change things. I think Orlando did a pretty good job of taking away some of the shots they wanted to.
Well, they defended the perimeter very, very well.
Exactly. And I thought it took Joe and the Celtics a little while to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I think I want a team, if you're the Celtics, that's not going to beat you up physically. And I think Orlando can do that. The Hawks, I do not think will do that. Like, that's a pretty soft defensive team overall.
Johnson plays tough, though.
He does play tough. They have perimeter defenders, but
they're
handsy,
but they're not physical.
Right. I think Toronto's not going to be like that's not a super physical team for their perimeter guys. And I don't know, like the Sixers. Give me the Sixers. Embiid, he'll be out of the series by game 4. Paul George is just coming back. Like I feel like those are the ones that are not going to be tough sledding for you.
Howard and Randolph, you're next here on the Sports Hub Celtics show as we're getting ready to wrap up. Hello.
How you doing, guys? Quick question. The center they got from Chicago who's been out with the fractured ring finger.
Vucevic, yeah.
How much better do you think they would have been had he not been hurt when Tatum came back? Would that have made a difference in a couple of games?
Well, I mean, he's still trying. B-Rob, I'll let you opine on this, but I mean, that's one. That would be another guy that Tatum doesn't really have familiarity with, like I talked about earlier in the Sports Hub Celtics show. That's part of this too that I don't think we talk about enough. Is it's not just Tatum coming back and trying to get back to being Jayson Tatum. He's coming back to a different team in terms of there are guys he has history with, like Al Horford, who and Drew Holiday, who aren't here anymore, and there are guys he doesn't really have a lot of history with who are playing, like Baylor Shireman and Luka Garza. And Vucevic, before he got hurt, was also trying to figure out what his role was going to be on this team and work his way in there. So I would love to see him. I think they need him. You see when Nimi Keita gets in foul trouble, I think they could use the other big just as an option. But at this point, I don't even know if like Vucevic will be in the playoff rotation.
It's going to be close. He's supposedly going to come back for the last week of the regular season at least. So that'll give him 3 or 4 games. But it's a great point in terms of the cohesion of those two guys / the rest of the team. And Garza's been like okay, like solid. Like you know what you're getting from him. Is